This is the most awkward, uncomfortable situation I've ever been in. It's so terrible. Hello humans, my name is Kevin Cook, and what I'm about to tell you is something that I'm not proud of, but it is nonetheless one of the most intense and terrifying things that has ever happened to me. Just a heads up, this story might piss some people off, so just know that I had no idea what was going on up until the very climax of this story. I was completely in the dark, so don't blame me for what you're about to hear. Now let's begin. I was living in Shanghai. It was November or December of 2015. For those of you who don't know, there's an app in China that every single person uses called WeChat, and it is a true do-it-all app. And one of the social features of this app is called People Nearby. It enables you to sort of peek around your neighborhood to meet people that you might otherwise never have a chance to meet, and who are also using WeChat and who have also used People Nearby recently. So one evening I was bored in my apartment and I opened up People Nearby. It opens up a list of people who are nearby, and you can filter it to see only men or women or both, you know, depending on who you want to meet. Usually when I use this feature, I was just so bored and nothing ever came of it. But this one time, I noticed that there was a girl 200 meters from me, and she was actually pretty cute. So I sent her a message and we started chatting. And her English was not good at all, but neither was my Chinese, but it was way better than her English, so we spoke solely in Chinese. After a couple days of texting, we exchanged some photos, and then the photos became more and more provocative until finally it was obvious what we both had on our minds. So she invited me over to her place. I didn't even need a bicycle. It was like a 2-minute walk. It was that close. So I go upstairs and I knock on the door and I enter her apartment. It's a little small, it's kind of a dump, but she's living by herself. I brought over a bottle of wine and we cracked it open, had a couple glasses, and chatted for a couple hours until eventually, yeah, you get the idea, right? I don't need to go into detail about the rest of the night. So fast forward about a week and she hit me up again. She said that it's almost the winter solstice, and in China people celebrate by eating a dish called tangyuan, this glutinous rice ball filled with sesame paste. And she said she was going to be making some by herself at home, and she invited me over to have some. And I thought, all right, hey, we're going to have another fun night. She said just bring over the wine and she'll provide the rest. Okay, so I go and get a cheap bottle of red wine and bring it over and enter her apartment, and I walk in and she's got this like fold-out table set up in front of her bed, and there's dishes of Chinese food. Of course there's the tangyuan, and she has a decanter there for the wine, and so we pour the cheap wine in this decanter and we're sitting there having a nice little romantic meal in her room. So we go on like this for about 10 minutes until suddenly I hear some keys jingling outside, and then I hear a key unlocking the door. My immediate thought is, this girl said she lives alone. Who is unlocking the door? My heart is seriously in my throat right now. When the door opens up, it is this short but powerfully built man in his late 30s. And judging by the look on his face, he is either her boyfriend or her husband. This guy has a scowl on his face and he points at me and says, 这是谁? Again, at the time, my Chinese wasn't that good, but I still got like 90% of what they were saying. To be honest though, you don't need to know a word of Chinese to understand how this poor guy feels. Time slows down at this point, and I am freaked out. I look over to the girl, and she is frozen like a deer in headlights. She can think of nothing to say. So I speak up, and I try to alleviate the intense tension in the room by pretending that she's my Chinese teacher, and so I start making up some crappy sentences, fumbling around with vocabulary of different dishes on the table, and I pick up the tangyuan and I say, 你要吃吗? And he's just sitting there with his arms crossed, just scowling at her. He is so angry, and I feel so bad. It's the worst situation that you can imagine. He refused the food that I offered him, and he's just standing there cold as ice. And I'm still trying to smile and play dumb, she's just sitting there still frozen. So then I offer him a seat next to me. I'm trying to play dumb. And he actually sits down. He's still scowling with his arms crossed. And I feel like we sat there for like 3 minutes like this in what must have been the most nightmarish, awful, awkward experience of my life. And I felt so bad for this poor guy and I'm starting to feel angry towards this woman. This vixen just duped me into believing that she lived alone in this apartment because we never even broached the subject of whether or not she had a boyfriend. I just assumed, like you do, when you go over and, you know, sleep with a girl, that she doesn't have some other man living with her. It was so bad. And I'm like awkwardly fumbling around, trying to still pretend like we're learning Chinese and eating the tangyuan. So he finally stands up, looks around the room, and snatches her iPad, and he says to her, 告诉我你的密码. I actually understood what he said, and at that moment, I felt as scared as she must have. Because if he opened that iPad, he would see some things that he really didn't want to see. And oh man, oh, so bad. She refused to tell him the password. So he persisted, this time raising his voice. 告诉我你的密码. She wouldn't budge. She just sat there, and she looked so guilty. It was written all over her face, and I'm just sitting there like, come on, you at least play this off like you're my teacher or something. I am stuck in place at this point. I feel like I'm witnessing a train wreck. I don't want to stare, but I just can't look away. He slams the table again. 告诉我你的密码. But this time, the decanter, the wine, some dishes fall off the table, and the room is a mess. It makes a ton of sound, and I'm honestly scared. I stand up, and I feel like my fight or flight instincts kick in, like I'm facing an angry bear, and I'm trying to make myself seem bigger so he's not gonna try to kill me or something. And he just says to me, 你走，别回来. I couldn't have walked out of that room more quickly, closed the door, jumped down the stairs, sprint home. And guys, oh man, it was so intense. The next day she messages me apologizing. Honestly, I'm pretty angry that she put us through that situation, but I'm also concerned for her safety. He seemed like the kind of guy that might get physical with her. And so I asked her if she's okay. She confirmed that everything is all right. And as soon as she did that, I just deleted her from my phone, and I never heard from her again. So guys, if you ever find yourself in a situation where a girl presents herself, a girl that you've met on the internet, and it seems like a layup, just be careful, because you never know if she's got a boyfriend or a husband, and if he is bigger than you and he shows up, you might leave with a black eye or worse. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up, or give it a thumbs down if you're a hater, and I'll see you next time.